there, so hopefully I'll sound like I know what I'm doing this time. So are we getting about ready to get this ball rolling? All right, seeing heads shaking, that means an affirmative. So let's call to order the Applicant Review Committee. It is August 28th, 2024 at 11 a.m. The location of the meeting is DPSST in Salem, Oregon. Me, the chair, Aaron Reyes, appearing remotely from Two Rivers Correctional Institution in Umatilla, Oregon. This is a public meeting subject to public meeting law, and it will be digitally recorded. Deliberation of issues. Goodbye. We fixed that. Deliberation of issues will only be conducted by the Applicant Review Committee members unless permitted by the chair. Remember to always state your name for the record. For professional standard cases, only information contained in the staff report can be considered once the staff report is adopted. Assumptions, outside knowledge, or personal experiences should not be included in any discussion. Individuals who engage in disruptive behavior that impedes official business will be asked to stop being disruptive or leave the meeting. Additional measures may be taken to have disruptive individuals removed if their continued presence poses a safety risk to other persons in the room or makes it impossible to continue the meeting. At this point, I'd like to call for introductions.
All right, when I call on you, please state your name and who you're representing for the record. We'll start off with you, Chair Reyes.
Aaron Reyes, Superintendent, Two Rivers Correctional Institution.
And then Member Parrott can be with us today, so Member Gardner.
Alex Gardner, Oregon State Police Command Staff Representative.
Member Labar.
Chelsea Labar, Bureau of Emergency Communications, representing the Telecommunicator Policy Committee.
Thank you. And then Member Langley.
Captain Ted Langley, representing OSSA Jail Command Council.
Thank you. And then Member Thurber also could not attend today.
Okay.
And then if we'd like to do staff introductions, I'll go first. Juan Lopez, Executive Assistant, DPSST.
Shelby Wright, Executive Assistant, DPSST. Eric Riddell, Criminal Justice Office Specialist, DPSST.
Cindy Park, DPSST.
Kathy Fink, DPSST.
Kathy McAlpine, DPSST.
Almost Celine Basho, DPSST.
Jennifer Howell, DPSST.
And then back.
Okay. Did we get everybody?
We did.
Okay. Moving to meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from the previous meeting? Okay. If there are no requested modifications, I'm just looking to confirm a consensus of the previous meeting minutes. Okay. Can we continue? Okay, so we approve the meeting minutes as written. Are there any objections? Okay. We are ready for our first professional standards case review.
Yes, Chair, we have one individual, Tyler Schneider, who is here and present, so we will go get him.
Okay, thank you.
ready to go?
Cindy Park for the record. Today, Tyler Schneider is before the committee in response to a July 2017 criminal disposition for reckless driving. On March 4th, 2017 in Pierce County, Washington, Schneider was stopped on I-5 by a Washington State Patrol trooper after being observed swerving within the lane and drifting into an adjacent lane. Schneider showed the trooper how he engaged the accelerator pedal by pushing on his right leg with his hand due to an injury. Schneider was initially charged with driving while intoxicated, but later pled guilty to the amended charge of reckless driving. Schneider met all court requirements and his case was closed on July 24th, 2019. The department did not find any moral fitness violations of dishonesty. However, we determined a moral fitness violation of gross misconduct in that Schneider's choice to drink alcohol and drive on a road open to the public while admittedly having to manipulate his right leg with his hand to engage the accelerator pedal was reckless conduct that could have caused significant harm to persons and property. Tyler Schneider provided written mitigation that was in your packet, and he is here to provide verbal mitigation as well. Tyler, if you're ready, you'll have 5 minutes. Erica will time you from the time that you start. Just go ahead and start whenever that you're ready, okay?
Thank you. I want to say thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here in front of you all today. I understand that the choices that I had made that night not only impacted me, but very well could have impacted others. I have learned from those mistakes that I made, and I have changed the way I do things now. I no longer, or have I ever, drank alcohol and drove after that. I choose not to do that at all, and I won't even have any alcohol, during a dinner or anything at all. I understand that being injured while driving was also something that I shouldn't have done. I know that the reason that I chose to do that is because I was in Tacoma and I didn't want my vehicle being broken into overnight. Looking back at the situation, that would have been a lot better outcome. It would have saved me a lot of money and heartache of going through the situation of the DUI. But at the time, I thought that was the correct move to make, which obviously was not. Like I said, I have learned from my mistakes and will not do anything of the sort again. So that is all I have. I appreciate your time.
And Tyler, you're welcome to stay here at the table, or if you're more comfortable, you can go back with your team.
I'll sit here. Thank you.
Sure. That's all we have for this case, if you want to proceed. You're on mute, though.
It does help me to take myself off mute. Oh, sorry about that. I'd like to ask for consensus of the committee to either adopt the record or return the case to staff if you believe additional information is required. So looking for a consensus too. Good. Okay. Confirming a consensus to adopt the record. Are there any objections? All right, hearing none. I'd like to open the case up for discussion. Remember to state your name and identify any aggravating or mitigation factors.
Alex Gardner for the record. In the mitigation category, he didn't lie about it. He owned it. He was not in law enforcement at the time. He was young. This is more than 6 years ago, and he's been contrite since then.
Thank you.
Chelsea LaBar for mitigating. I will also add that the officer noted, I think several officers noted, that he was cooperative throughout the in-field investigation. For aggravating, I have listed that he probably shouldn't have been driving in the first place with an injury, and that he blew a 0.15 and a 0.16, twice the legal limit.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything to add? With that said, I'd like to call for the case manager to review the identified aggravating and mitigating factors, if you would, please.
Of course, Cindy Park for the record. I have as mitigating, he didn't lie about the incident. He was very young when it occurred. He was not in law enforcement at the time. He's been contrite since then, and he was cooperative with the field investigation. Aggravating, he should not have been driving in the first place, and his BAC was 0.15 and 0.16 respectively.
I'm looking for a consensus to confirm the identified factors. All right. I'd like to open the discussion up into whether or not there was a moral fitness violation. I'd like to remind members of the following options for the moral fitness findings identified in the staff report: to either affirm it, accepting it as it is, modify, make any changes deemed appropriate, or negate, remove all. I'd like to call for a motion.
Alex Gardner, for the record, I move that we negate the moral fitness violation.
Do I hear a second?
Chelsea LeBar, I'll second.
All right, we are voting on a motion to negate the moral fitness violation. Chair Reyes,
Aye.
Committee Member Gardner,
Aye.
Committee Member LeBar,
Aye.
and Committee Member Langley.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Kathy McAlpin for the record, it would help staff if we could understand the motion to negate, which is basically saying you did not find any moral fitness violations, as opposed to affirming our staff report and maybe taking no action. So if we could just get a better understanding of the reason for the negate.
Alex Gardner, for the record. So I understand why staff might struggle with that. He was hammered, not just a little bit intoxicated, and so in my view, a moral fitness failure requires making a decision, and it's making the wrong decision. And when people are intoxicated enough, and a 1.5, 1.6 is extremely intoxicated, I don't think he was thinking. I think he was dumb to put himself in that situation. It reflected an extremely stupid series of choices, but that's not uncommon for somebody of that age. And when you add enough alcohol to it, it doesn't seem like a moral failure. It's definitely a brain failure. So that's my reasoning. I think he's owned that.
Member LeBar, do you have anything else that you'd like to add, or does that pretty much reflect your feelings?
It does, but I think maybe I need some clarification on the new process. If we accepted that there was an identified moral fitness, I think maybe I'm confusing that with, I'm guessing, our next step, which is deciding to take action. So if we accept that there was violation, we still have the opportunity to take no action, or are we mandated that we do?
Yeah, Kathy McAlpin for the record, that is correct. You can affirm, which you're agreeing that as presented, there was a moral fitness violation. In this case, we presented gross misconduct, and then after that, you can decide to, as a committee, take action or no action. But you're affirming the report as the staff has presented it.
Alex Gardner, for the record, I thought by adopting the report, we were basically recognizing that the report was adequate and to the and appears to be accurate.
Agreed. I feel the same way. At least that was my interpretation also.
Kathy McAlpine, for the record, affirming is accepting as is with the information that the staff has written up to get where we are with the moral fitness violations. So again, in this particular case, it was gross misconduct where we identified that Mr. Schneider chose to drink alcohol and drive open to the public. And then we talked about how he manipulated his leg because of his injury and engaged in reckless conduct. So that is moral, or the gross misconduct we're presenting. If you feel like that doesn't occur or it doesn't rise to the level of gross misconduct, then you would negate it. But affirming it is affirming that the staff has presented to you a moral fitness violation. And then you would decide then in the affirm that you would not, if you choose not to take action because of the reasons that you stated, you could do so. And I'll look to Jennifer how to.
Okay, so ma'am, Chair Reyes. So as we all adopt to this new process, if we choose to re-vote on this, is there an ability to do that? If say somebody puts a motion to affirm, are we able to do that at this point, or this is the decision we've made and we move forward with it?
Again, Kathy McAlpine, just first I'd like to be very clear. The process was just how the meeting goes. It has never changed what affirm, modify, and negate means.
Okay.
We have just put it in the script to kind of explain at the moment, giving that to the chair to recall what affirming means, what modifying, what negate. So they've never changed over the course of years.
Okay.
Perhaps how we interpret it is always to each member, and happy to explain that. But in this case, if it wasn't clear and you would like to recall the motion, you can do that, have further discussion, and then somebody can make a different motion if you choose based on the clarity that we provided.
Okay.
So in light of that, Alex Gardner, for the record, in light of that, I'm not clear on the Robert's Rules of Order at this point. I'd like to modify, but if we've already processed this, I'm not quite sure how to unwind it.
We never went for a vote. I think we got a first and second.
We did the vote.
We did, they did vote. Okay, so Jennifer, I'll look to you.
And Jennifer Howell, for the record, and unfortunately I don't know the exact Robert rule to lean on in this point, but I would think because the record reflects that the committee had confusion on the process steps and what was happening at each time, can we just start at the first, which is adopting the record, and everybody understands we're making our decision based on the content that was presented, and then moving to the second step. You already identified your aggravating and mitigating circumstances. The third step, deciding whether or not what was presented is a moral fitness violation. That's to affirm, modify, or negate. And then the next step being the
vote.
If the committee finds a moral fitness violation, whether or not it rises to the level to take action or not. But I don't know if there's a Robert rule.
So, Alex Gardner, for the record, maybe I can just lay my intent out there so that the record is clear. There was never any doubt about the recklessness of his conduct. The record is clear that he misbehaved, that it was poor judgment, that he was reckless, and that there was a danger to the public. What I was trying to speak to was his moral culpability, and so the moral fitness piece is the befuddling part. But in terms of process, what I would suggest is that we affirm now, given the status, and I'm just sort of telegraphing what my intention is to take no action. So I guess we need to, I move that we affirm and look for a second.
Can we do that with the second?
Yeah, and for the record, Chair, if Member Gardner, if you could, your motion is to recall the original motion to negate, and that you would like to move forward with a new motion of affirming.
Yes, if there's any way I can possibly complicate this.
Do I hear a second to Major Gardner?
Chelsea
Ted
LeBar,
Langley
second.
for the record. Yeah, second.
Okay. So we have a motion to remove the negate and move it to an affirmation of the record.
All right, we are voting on a motion to recall the first vote and to affirm the moral fitness violation as presented. Chair Reyes,
Aye.
Committee Member Gardner,
Aye.
Committee Member LeBar,
Aye.
and Committee Member Langley.
Aye.
Passed.
Okay.
I'm moving
Hearing
on.
no objections, I would like to see if I could call for a motion to either take action on this case or take no action.
Alex Gardner for the record. I move that we take no action.
And do I hear a second on Major Gardner's motion?
Ted Langley for the record. I'd second that motion.
Okay.
And Captain Kaufman, for the record, although you stated it, but within your motion for no action, could you just explain once again why you're recommending no action?
Yes, it's basically on the collection of mitigating factors. And I think the rest of the record is so robust at this point, it probably stands.
Thank you.
All right, we are voting on a motion to take no action. Chair Reyes,
Aye.
Committee Member Gardner,
Aye.
Committee Member LeBar,
Aye.
and Committee Member Langley.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Ms. Park, do you have any inquiry closure memos you need to review?
Yes, Chair Reyes. Cindy Park for the record. There were 2 inquiry closure memos in your packets, and we've closed the inquiries into pre-employment criminal conduct is detailed in the attached memos. The documents are provided to the committee for informational purposes only, as Oregon Administrative Rule has given DPSSD the authority to close these inquiries without committee approval.
Okay. Our next applicant review committee meeting is scheduled for September 25th, 2024 at 11 a.m. Any further business we need to take care of, Ms. Park?
No, Chair Reyes.
Okay. With that said, I will adjourn the applicant review committee meeting today on August 28th, 2024. Thank you, everybody. That went wonderfully smooth. We'll do it again next time.
Thank you.
I won't be